The Into the Unjust update for Helldivers 2 has been live for a few days now, so I want to go over some of the loadouts that have been working for us, and others that have been not so great. We'll dive in and go over what weapons, armor sets, and stratagems you should be taking with you, and others you should be leaving behind as you look to maximize the spreads of much needed democracy. What is up, fellow Helldivers? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are revisiting our loadout guide from a few days ago. We're going to be able to kind of go back to that list of weapons we looked at, kind of see what's working, what's not working. Now that we've had a chance to go in the caves and kind of get an idea exactly what we're dealing with, the types of missions and the types of enemies that we're looking at now. If you're new to the channel, be sure to share, like, and subscribe if you like the video. We do a lot of videos just like this, going over our loadout, our different play styles, and also some live streams as well as new war bonds come out, new updates, and new buffs and whatnot. So we appreciate any support you want to give us. So yeah, let's go and jump in here real quick with the things I want to go over today. So in that video, we talked a lot about just what we thought would work and what wouldn't work right, and we essentially said that ammo capacity is going to be a big deal. It's going to be probably the biggest thing you would have to worry about going into the tunnels. My initial thoughts, I guess, was going to be that we're going to drop in, call everything that we need in the moment, and essentially go into the tunnels, do what we got to do, and then come out and then extract. That really isn't the case, though. It's definitely kind of that vibe to it, especially if you're doing like a search and destroy mission. It's as well as the hive lung, destroying the hive lung. So with that said, yes, ammo capacity is a thing. However, I think, and we talked again about taking the backpack, the supply pack with us. I think it not being such a big deal, because there is definitely not, even if you're in the caves, there's definitely a lot of not a lot, but some breaks in the cave system on top to where you can call in your resupply. And there's definitely instances too of where there's ammo boxes in the ground, a lot more than I thought there would be, from what I've seen, at least in my time in these missions. So if you're looking at, if you just are dead set on an AR, take one. I think it's definitely worth trying to see if it works for you. I do think you probably still need a supply pack with an AR. Now, if you haven't tried the AR-2 Coyote, you need to get it.
You're gonna need it.
It's probably, in my opinion, the best AR weapon by far. The way it deals with the ammo capacity with this gun, so you get 8 magazines essentially, and that's without siege ready. I haven't even tried it with siege ready. That's how good it is. I feel like it's one of those few AR weapons where if you can relate, let me know, where you shoot at a few different enemies, like 2, 3, 4, like little patches of them, right? And by the time you're done with that clip, or just about done with it, to where you're reloading as you go the next thing, right? This one, I feel every time I was in that type of scenario, I had half a clip still, or even sometimes a little over half a clip. Those incendiary rounds do a great job of dealing damage really fast. And I even had instances where I was like shooting, I think, two little enemies, 3 light enemies, and I shot 2 bullets at the one in front, like closest to me, and that incendiary effect, I guess because he was so close to the the other enemy, killed him. So with it having medium armor penetration, it's a great weapon to use with the hive guards, the ones that burrow up, or even just the normal ones. So I think if you haven't tried the AR-2 Coyote, you gotta get it. It's on the first page of the war bond. We went over that with our last live stream, so if you didn't get a chance to look at that, go ahead and check that out. We'll put a link up here so you guys can look at that and check it out. But yeah, AR-2 Coyote, probably the best AR weapon in my opinion right now. Now, going through marksman rifles, I'm not a big marksman rifle fan, to be honest with you guys, but I know there's a lot of people who love the Deadeye, a lot of people who, swear by the different weapons here, right? They are round reloaded, so I think that is a big plus when you're talking about ammo capacity. Kind of, it makes you be more judicial with how you're using those instances of shots. However, I've always said the bugs are going to be the enemy that moves the fastest, right? Especially when you're talking about like the predator strain, when you're talking about the stalkers, and even just the normal ones as a whole. So to me, the marksman rifle probably isn't the best option unless you just want to use that and you take like a stalwart with you or take some kind of machine gun with you. Then sure, by all means, if you want to go that route. As much as I love the SMGs and even the new M7S SMG, I don't think it's going to be a viable option for us. Again, ammo capacity is a big deal. You can, if you just are dead set on it, take a supply pack with you and, hey, do you live your best life, Life could be a dream. Now, the shotguns we had said in our previous video is probably one of the biggest, sections you want to focus on and taking with you. And that's held true. That's held true for the most part. I think the cookout's been a great option. If you go that route, I definitely tried it my first few rounds and had some great success with it. I think pairing it with a stalwart, pairing it with something that's gonna give you a ability to take care of a lot at one time, and that might even be like a flamethrower or something different if you want to go all fire. I mean, as long as you can kind of like have a spread or some kind of way to take out multiple enemies in the sense a machine gun does, by all means. Now the M90A shotgun, still a great option. As much as we had said in that video, as much as it hurts us, the breaker incendiary probably isn't the best option. Again, going back to ammo capacity, I think you only get 4 or 5 drum magazines, and that's the drum. So it just goes too fast in my opinion. It does a great deal of damage. You can take a supply pack if that's your favorite weapon. By all means, do it. But if you're not relying on a supply pack, you're going to be hurting for ammo down there in the tunnels. That was something that we had said, and that's something that is held true with what we've seen so far. And same thing goes for the other ones as well. But I think if you're wanting to use a breaker, I think the incendiary is the one you got to definitely go with if you just are dead set on one. Now, going back to that video again, we had said about the explosive weapons, the crossbow, the eruptor. As much as it hurts me to say back then that I thought it was not going to be a good option for us. I thought yes, they're great for closing bug holes. They're amazing weapons in all different factions. But I thought the shrapnel explosion from them was going to be a problem with us being in the tunnels, with us being in such close quarters, and them rushing us essentially, because that's even a problem even outside of the tunnels, right? The tunnels are a lot bigger of an area, and there's definitely a lot of instances where you're going into the tunnels, but you're also kind of on the outskirts of them. And because these weapons are just so dang good, so dang good, they're worth taking with you. The crossbow is going to be, you're going to have enough space essentially to use that crossbow, or the eruptor for that matter, the way you're used to using it. So much so I think I'm going to start taking it myself in some different builds I do. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that. Yes, I was kind of sad about the caves. We've had a comment or two talk about how they wished it was more like if you ever played Left 4 Dead. How like you guys, there's instances in Left 4 Dead where you had like, it was all co-op game as well, but you had like your backs to each other almost as you're like kind of like killing the zombies as they approach you. He was hoping that type of gameplay or that vibe was going to be in the caves, and I thought, heck yeah, that would have been awesome. But sadly, we didn't get that. So the plus to that though is that we can take these kind of weapons with us in the caves. Long story short, energy-based weapons, we had said the Blitzer is a definite must if you just want something that's not going to have any issues with ammo capacity, and that's true. That's held true. The Arc Blitzer, the sickles are going to be great options for you if you just don't want to deal with anything with ammo capacity and you want to just not have to worry about that at all. The scythe as well. I don't use the scythe, but I know there's people out there who love the scythe. So if you're one of those folks, just know that it's going to be a great option for you if you just want to go that route too. The Punisher Plasma, a great gun overall. I think you might have issues with the ammo capacity again. I wish it was round reloaded. It's more of a cartridge based type of thing, so that's going to be something where, again, you might want to take a supply pack with you, or just, maybe, and we'll talk more about this, maybe you're doing a mission that doesn't require you to be in the tunnel so much. So there's definitely instances like that, and that also I want to talk about, because that changes how you approach your loadout as a whole. The Scorcher, again, we talked about this last time. It already has a problem with ammo capacity as it is. But if you just swore by a Scorcher, just know that it isn't going to be as big of an as an issue as we initially thought. And just be sure to take a supply pack still. Now, what I wanted to highlight in this video, it's kind of like how I did with the Eruptor, and we talked about the crossbow, is the Purifier. Again, we had talked about the Purifier and how it is a great weapon. It's an overall great option for all factions. But we had said that the charge up in it, because it's an explosive weapon with that charge up and the blast radius that comes with that, that's going to be a problem down the caves, because, again, close quarters, right? Again, because there is a lot more space than we initially thought in the caves, at least I did, it's going to be a better option. It's going to be an option you can take with you if you just want, and its versatility is going to be much loved down there. So if you are a big Purifier fan and you haven't tried it yet, please do. You might find yourself feeling better down the caves with your favorite gun down there. Now, the special weapons, we had said, of course, the Torture is a great option. Anything fire related is great with the bugs. So if you are a Torture fan, just know that you are right in taking that with you. It's a great option overall still with the bugs and in the tunnels. The variable, we had said, is, like I call it the baby stalwart. The variable is a great gun overall, and we had said that it probably isn't a good option because the ammo capacity is going to be a problem. So let me drink some water here real quick. All right, much better. So yeah, the variable, again, with ammo capacity not being as big of a deal as we talked about, you can definitely take it with you, as you'll have more instances of those breaks in the cave. You can bring down your resupply and look for those ammo boxes in the caves. So yeah. All right, so next up we're going to talk about the secondary weapons. And pretty much all we said about this has held true. There is, with one caveat. We'll talk about that. If you are a pistol fan, by all means, live your best life. The Senator is a great option. Has that heavy armor penetration, so that'll be a good option for most bugs still if you're down there. Again, ammo capacity might be a thing, but it is single reloaded, so that helps with that as well. Melee. Now, there was a new sword that came out, the machete, as you can see. I just found out that this bad boy is medium armor penetration. I did not know that. I actually saw that on Reddit the other day, or last night I think it was, and I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, we can actually use that against those hive guards, that the burrowing ones, or even like anything else that's medium armor, and of course light armor as well. So I am excited to try that at some point today, or in the near future when I get my next loadout. So if you got the new War Bond, it is actually, no, you don't need the new War Bond. Excuse me. It's going to be part of the items in the superstore. I think it's 200 credits, 200 super credits. So if you are a fan of melee, definitely try out the machete. It has that medium armor penetration. I don't think anything else has medium armor pen, right? No. Everything's light armor. So yeah, try the machete out. It's going to be something that I'm definitely going to be trying out in my next loadout. Then next up we got the specials here. I have yet to use the the shotgun, the bushwhacker. So I can't really tell you if it's been working or not down there. My biggest worry is that it only has, I think it's what, three shots at a time. So that might be a problem down there. But it does pack a punch with the bugs and has a bit of a stagger, of course, being a shotgun. The Talon, I really don't use the Talon a whole lot. I know a lot of people love the gun. They use it a lot down with the bots. I see that a lot with the bots. But if you're a big fan of the Talon, I believe it's one that doesn't. Does it have? Yeah, it does. It does. So break action for heat swing swaps. So I can't really talk too much about the Talon, but if you're a fan, you try it out, see what if it works out for you. Grenade pistol, great option. Still, there's definitely going to be bug holes down there in the tunnels or on the surface, so by all means, take it with you. Great option. The Crisper. Now, the Crisper, great option if you just want a bit of fire. You don't want to take the torture with you or the flamethrower, or say, hey, if you want to just go all out fire, everything is fire. Bring in the fire. Then go for it by all means. So good option though. Now, the one caveat I wanted to talk about, because we had talked about this in the loadout guide video, is the ultimatum. I had said that as much as it hurts me in that video, I had said that it's not a good option. It's a staple in most of my loadouts, and I had said that nope, we can't take it because again, close quarters, we're gonna be blowing everything up, including our friends, our team down there. So, but surprisingly, we again, the caves are not as close quartered as we thought, or as I thought. So the ultimatum is going to be an option we can bring with us even down there in the tunnels. So by all means, take it with you, especially if you don't have a whole lot of anti-tank options that you're taking with you, because again, a lot of the anti-tank options are going to be stratagems that essentially need to be called in, like the eats, or you're essentially sacrificing your backpack. Again, we'll talk more about stratagems and how I think that's been shaping up with how the gameplay is down in tunnels. But just know that the ultimatum is an anti-take option that I've been using that's been doing fairly well still, that can help you even if you don't take like a recoilless with you, or you're not taking eats with you, or anything that's going to give you anti-tank. Now, throwables, I think everything we said about throwables has held up fairly true. Thermites are going to be a pretty good option still. I think that was the only one I said that might be a problem because of, again, close quarters. Pyrotech is a great option, especially when you're going in the tunnels and you have those nests or bug holes that kind of like go as a bowl. Throw a few of those in there and just light it up, see what happens. Now, the gas is again always a great option for bugs. So if you're a gas fan, just go for it. Just be aware of the clouds in there. They definitely get more dense in there, so you can't necessarily walk around them as much as you're used to, So just keep that in mind. The incendiary impact, if they normal incinerate, we had said those are great options. They are still great options. So by all means, use those as if you have or want to. And then real quick, we'll go over the armor sets here. So with our armor sets, we pretty much highlighted Siege Ready and a few other ones. But with Siege Ready, we talked a lot about the Cinder Block, with it being a heavy armor, and for the most part, that's true. The extra ammo capacity you get, depending on what you're taking with you, is going to be a big plus. I think the reload speed's important as well, especially if you're taking a machine gun, or if you decide to go with even the recoilless rifle, the autocannon, anything that just overall has better reload speed that you're going to benefit from. By all means, take it. I know it says increases reload speed of primary weapons by 30%. I don't know if it's just me. You guys can leave a comment down below about this, but I feel I see a difference in pretty much everything that is in your loadout. and I definitely see with the recoilless rifle. When I take the recoilless rifle with me and I have siege ready, I see a difference. And I don't know if that maybe is just a thing that was happening in the past, and I just haven't noticed that it's been fixed or whatever. But I have noticed a difference. So let me know what you guys think about that. If there is indeed a a buff or like an increase in reload speed, even with the other weapons besides the primaries. So yeah, so let me know what you guys think about that. Now, the new armor set that came out with the War Bond and that's in the Superstore, these are these have a great armor passive in my opinion. They kind of have that like overall resistance, so it has resistance to fire, gas, acid, electrical damage. It's not as much as the Killzone one, where I think Killzone one's 50%, this one's 40%, but it also gives you increased throwing range by 20%. Now, if you watched our video about the Warbond going over the passive, I had said that Servo is a great armor passive, but the one thing I do not like about Servo, and it could be just a quirk about me, is I feel every time I use Servo, I'm always at least the first 3 or 4 throws, I'm overthrowing it, and I tend to use it on bots missions, and I tend to throw it like just somewhere that is not going to be beneficial to what I'm trying to throw, the eagle, whatever it might be. So with that said, I think the 20%, even though it's only 10% difference from 30 to 20 from Servo, I like it. I like that trade off, or that what have you, that's just a little bit less to help me not have that problem. And it's been very useful in the cave. So those instances where if you played this update where you have to call in a resupply, you're calling in something, and you're on the edge of the cave and you're getting chased by all these different bugs, having that extra throwing range to where you can throw it a little further as you're like making your way out of the cave, and hoping that you time it to where it drops and you can grab it and then turn around and do what you gotta do, right? That extra 20% has come clutch for me, and I think it's a great option if you want to have like kind of an all-around protection from all these different types of damage, fire. And if you're and that helps even if you're taking a fire loadout, or you have teammates that are having fire loadouts. That helps a lot. Gas, again, from yourself or from your teammates. Acid. A lot of these new enemies are gonna spit acid, so having that little bit of extra protection goes a long way. As well as electrical damage. Again, that's gonna be more like in the update as far as that goes, from any kind of potential like friends or teammates that are using the blitzer, the anything that's going to have electrical damage. Excuse me. So, going over the different ones here, we had talked about, of course, the Siege Ready. We had talked about the Desert Stormer, the new one, and then we also said that if you're doing a full fire build, the inflammable. I always think that's inflammable. That's hilarious. The firefighter or anything that has the inflammable is a good option. It gives you extra. It gives you the most damage resistance to fire that you can get in a passive. And then Medkit's a good one. That's one of the ones I had tried out initially, along with Siege Ready. But if you're taking something that like a blitzer, or you're taking like a sickle that doesn't need, you're not, ammo capacity isn't a problem for you, you're not gonna have to worry about that too much, or even a shotgun maybe. The medkit is a good option because having extra stims is definitely something that you're gonna want down there in the caves. You don't have to worry about like having to call in resupplies, or having to like really make sure you're up to speed with medkits as you're going into the cave system. And as far as everything else goes, if you want to go with like one of the the ones you get newer in the game, or if you're one of the new players, the extra padding ones are going to be great options, or where you have a higher armor rating. So in this case, the B01 tactical, the medium essentially is a heavy, right? But you still get the benefit of the speed of a medium armor. So I didn't talk a whole lot about this in our last video, but the extra padding sets are great options. Even for like if you want to go with like the light version of this, to where then you're getting the medium armor for it. Where is it at? I'm sure there is one, right? Or I just being crazy. There's no light. There isn't. Oh no, there is. There is. So yeah, this one right here, the light gunner. You get essentially the benefit of medium armor protection, but you get the speed of the light armor, and speed is crucial against the bugs, as you guys know. So that might be a good option if you just want something that's gonna be a little bit higher armor, but don't want to sacrifice your speed. And it's a great option too if you're just starting the game and you're just trying to get your bearings. If you like this game and you want to have something that's gonna be usable for you, use one of those. The extra paddings are ones you get early in the game. Try it out. It's going to be usable and good utility for you as you kind of figure out what war bonds you want to get, what different sets you want to focus on getting. And if you need any help with looking to see what war bonds you want to get, which ones I think are going to be the ones you want to go for first or focus on, we'll have a link up here with our video going over which ones I think you should focus on or lock first and why, what weapons you get, what armor sets you get, and the reasons why I think those are the best ones to focus on, at least in the beginning. All right, now, is there anything else you want to talk about here? Engineering kit was a good call. I think engineering kit is a great overall option in any faction. Again, I think the one thing I said in the video was that there's other armor sets I think you can benefit from more if you pick them. And I think those big ones are siege ready. I think siege ready is a big one, especially if you're taking like an AR with you or anything that's going to be ammo dependent with your magazines. We had said that epilots. So if you're going to be taking that machete with you down there and trying it out, and you still have your machine gun or anything really, epilots is a great option because you're going to get the 30% reload speed. You're going to increase. You're going to get a 50% chance to avoid grievous limb injury, which we all know is important against the bugs because you're breaking legs and breaking arms every which way you turn down in the tunnels. But you also get the increased melee damage by 50%. I think that's a good happy medium because again, you can go with the peak physique armor passive if you want to just go guns blazing with that machete, and you just want to have a melee build. By all means, go for it. But I think the epilots is a good medium to where you'll get a benefit of a extra buff to your melee damage, but you're also getting increased reload speed and that extra protection against limb injury. So I think going over those armors, I think those are probably your best options going down there. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about support weapons and stratagems. Now, we had said that the machine gun is going to be a staple, I think, in most loadouts, especially because the bugs being a faster faction, and it's high ammo capacity in those magazines, right? Now, I think that holds true, but again, I think there's weapons that you can use, and I think one of the ones, a good example, is that new AR, the AR-2 Coyote. I think because that gun is so good, and because the ammo capacity on isn't that big of a deal, even if you don't take siege ready with you, I think it gives you that ability to not rely so much on that machine gun or the need to take one regardless. I think you can get away with potentially using just the Coyote if you want to go with like something else. Now, let's talk a little bit about the recoilless rifle and like the autocannon and those backpack support weapons. When I first talked about it in that last video, I had said that yes, they're good weapons. They're one of my favorites to take in scenario, especially the bots. I think it's those. That's one of my favorite weapons to get in the bots. But because again, it's a backpack support weapon or has the backpack to like for the ammo, it probably isn't the best option to take down there because you probably want other options with the backpack, such as like the supply pack, the bubble. The bubble has been clutch for me, so just know that if you go this route, you'll be giving that up essentially. However, I will say that depending on which mission type you do, if you're going into the Hive Lung or if you're doing like a search and destroy mission where you're going to be in the caves quite a bit, then yeah, I think what I said holds true. I think the recoilless rifle would probably not be the best option to take down there. Now, if you're going to be on the surface more, there's missions that are more based on the surface, right? So you have like the oil rig, you have the oil, I think it's the oil pumps, and other ones. There's ones essentially that you're on the surface a whole lot more than you are like on the Hive Lung ones, right? That's where recoilless rifle becomes not only a good option, but maybe a must option. And it could be, it could be the recoilless rifle, it can be the autocannon, it can be, whatever you want to go with there. But those missions for the oil rig get pretty insane pretty fast. If you have not looked at that or encountered that Hive Lord yet,
Helldivers, you'll face a Hive World. Liberty guide you.
it's no joke. No joke at all. And even with the recoilless rifle and even with like different like stratagems, I think one of my commenters had said that it has 150,000 HP. That's insane. And we were trying to figure out like how many hell bombs it would take, the portable hell bombs to take. And I think we figured out because the hell bomb deals, I think it said it deals 10,000 damage. That's what, 15 hell bombs you gotta somehow detonate. And anyway, I was mind blown with that Hive Lord, that big old sandworm that comes up and just wreaks havoc. So yeah, I think that along with the other outside surface enemies you're going to be encountering, Bile Titans, Chargers, you're going to see way more of those on the surface missions. So yeah, I think that's where you can potentially take the trade-off of no shield bubble and go with the recoilless rifle, go with something that's going to be anti-tank based. The flamethrower is a great option. It still holds true to what I said in that video. I think it's, if you're going for a fire build, good option. I personally lean towards the Torture because it gives me the ability to have a different support weapon, and the Torture still is a great option. That is essentially the baby flamethrower, right? So it doesn't take away that support weapon slot if you go the Torture route. Airburst rocket launcher, what I said holds true for the cave systems at least. Now, if you're going to be outside again, that's where you can definitely go with it. It isn't an anti-tank though, so I don't know. I think there's just better options here if you're looking to like an anti-tank, especially it being a backpack option too, or a backpack when it requires a backpack. I don't use the commando a whole lot. It is anti-tank. It is an option that you can do if you want to go that route, as long as you're doing like a surface mission. But I mean, to each his own, right? Railgun. I usually don't use the railgun if I'm not playing against the bots, but it's a decent option if you want to. It is anti-tank too, so it'll do a lot of damage as well. Spear don't use a whole lot. Wasp launcher I don't use a whole lot, so I can't really talk too much about those. Now, orbital cannons. We kind of like breezed over these in the last video and said, we're in the tunnels, not a big deal. Something we're not going to be using, kind of a waste, right? With those missions. And that's true if you're doing tunnel, like the straight tunnel missions. Again, going back to the search and destroys and the hive lung, anything else that's based mainly in the tunnel, right? If you're on the surface though, these become very important become very important, especially if you're trying to take out that Hive Lord. These are musts for the Hive Lord. They're going to be the stratagems that deal probably the most damage as far as like an airstrike, right? Outside of like an Eagle 500k. So if you're looking to play a surface mission and take out that Hive Lord, you're gonna want to take you probably want to take one of your favorite orbital cannons, or try one that has a lot of damage to it. Now going to the Eagles here. Again, if you're same thing applies with this one. If you're doing a cave mission, not so much. If you're doing a surface mission, yes, take a Eagle with you. take 2 if you want. The Eagle 500k, of course, is a great option. Standard issue, I think, in most options, unless you're doing tunnels. So yes, by all means, definitely take one of those with you. The fast recon too, I said nope to that, but if you're on the surface, fast recon will be a good option, especially as you traverse and try to stay away from that Hive Lord, the big worm. Now let's go over here, gas strike. Decent option. Gas is always a great option for the bugs, so if you're doing a gas build or just a big fan of the gas strike, by all means. The HMG emplacement, great option on surface missions, even in the caves too. Like if you're able to call it down in one of those cracks or in the edge of the caves, maybe, great option. You can just go gung-ho on that. Now, I didn't talk too much about the Tesla towers. I think Tesla towers are great options if you're doing the defense missions. I don't know if there's any defense missions for this update or this planet, but if there is, I definitely agree. I definitely think the Tesla towers are great options that do a lot of damage overall. Don't use this one too a whole lot. I remember when it came out and they gave it to us, but the green launcher just by itself is a good option. It's usable down in the tunnels as long as you give yourself enough space, of course, and even better on the surface if you want to go that route. So I think, again, if you're dropping it into like the edge of the cave in one of those cracks and you have a little bit of space between you and your enemy or as a whole, good option. Surface missions, good as well. Now, anti-personal minefields, I don't use minefields a whole lot, but if you want, that's a good option, especially for defense missions. I think they're good for defense missions. But besides that, I don't usually use them a whole lot. Alright, now, supply pack we know about. Great option. We've worked, that's been tried and true. We kind of knew that was a given though, right? Grenade launcher, we talked about grenade launcher, good option. Laser cannon. One thing I highlighted in our last video, the loadout guide, was the laser cannon being a great support weapon, probably the one you want to try out first or focus on taking with you. Again, because its ability to not have an issue with ammo capacity and it being a heavy armor penetration weapon, and there's no backpack to it, so it frees up your ability to have the shield bubble or even like a supply pack, right? It holds true to that. I think it, even the way you can sway, it almost gives that ability to be almost not like a machine gun. Don't kill me for that statement, but you kind of know what I'm trying to say, right? The way that you can kind of move it back and forth and hit multiple enemies at one time as you move it. I think it's a good option if you want to go that route. I think it holds true to what I was saying there. Incendiary mines, again, I don't really use those a whole lot. Decent option if you're doing a defense mission. The guard dogs. We have said the guard dogs are probably going to be either a good option or a terrible option. I think overall they're a pretty good option. I think for mine, I've taken the normal guard dog, the one with the just normal assault rifle on it. I haven't really seen too many people use the rover, like the laser rover, and that was the one I thought that probably be the least used. I think, again, because of its recklessness of potential for friendly fire. And that goes too with the one that has the blitzer or the one with lightning. So if you're doing solo missions though, let me see if I can find it. Where is it at? That's the guard dog. Where's it at? The Guard Dog K9 is called. If you're doing solo missions, that thing is a beast. That thing right there will take out so many enemies. Look at that. And I've had instances where it's taken out more than that. So that is a true image or video. It's not like being overstated there. Let's go back up here to where we were with guard dogs, right? Yeah, guard dogs. Yeah, so guard dogs, pretty decent. They're not bad. I think they're pretty good. The ballistic shield pack, I think, is going to be, if you're doing a full melee build again, I think that's right. I think it's a good option. The arc thrower, we had said that that's going to be a great option. Again, no ammo capacity issues. If you're not taking the other one, gosh, can't think of the name of it. Blitzer, thank you. The Blitzer. Then I think it's a good option. Keep in mind the Blitzer's more of a shotgun. This one is close range too, but this one's more linear to where it has a little bit more range to it than the Blitzer would. So let's keep that in mind if you're going that route. The anti-tank mines, Quasar cannon. We had talked kind of a little bit about that with the laser cannon last time. Same idea. It's a good anti-tank option. Actually, hold on. The laser. Okay, so the Quasar cannon has a bit of a up on the laser cannon because it's anti-tank. Now keep in mind the Quasar cannon is charge up, and if you miss, you're gonna pay for it. But if you're pretty good, if you're pretty good with the Quasar cannon, or pretty good with charge ups like the railgun, good option, especially if you're gonna be out in the surface. I think it's a great option overall. Again, because you can have that backpack still. It doesn't take a backpack slot up. The shield bubble, I think I said quite a bit about this already. The shield bubble is a clutch option. It saved me so many times down the caves to where it's kind of been a staple for me now, especially if I'm doing a cave mission. Now, if you're going to be on the surface, yes, it's still beneficial, but there probably is going to be better options there. We'll talk more about that because mobility becomes kind of pretty important with those surface missions. Gas mines. The sentries have been really helpful, even with the cave systems. Just keep in mind when you're going in the cave, you want to make sure you pay attention where you put it or where you're at any given time, especially if you use the Gatling like I do. That Gatling just goes ham if it senses anything, including you or your teammates. So just keep that in mind. And then the mortar sentry, I don't usually use that a whole lot. I'll use it on the bot sometimes, or if I'm doing like a defense mission, but I'm sure it's pretty decent on surface missions if you want to go that route. Guard dog we talked about. Autocannon sentry, great option if you want a sentry that's going to be anti-tank. Probably going to be one of the better ones to use on the surface. Rocket sentry, EMS. I don't use EMS a whole lot. I know they got a buff recently with, I think, the duration of the stun. So yeah, it might be a good option if you're on the surface again and you're able to take advantage of that, of its ability to freeze your enemies, and then you take them out, All right, now the exosuit. This is one of the things I wanted to highlight in this video. I was so excited and pleasantly surprised that I was happy to be wrong about this. The last video we talked about, I thought that the exosuit, again, going back to the cave system, going back to close quarters, and I didn't even know if we can fit that thing down there.
That's what she said.
Anyway, the exosuit has been a staple for me in my loadouts down there. The fact that you can not only take that thing in the tunnel and just wreak havoc down there, and there isn't really one of the things I said in the last video was that it might be, not only will it be a problem getting in, but like potentially its ability to stomp your teammates, right? That might be a problem, having to constantly look around to make sure you're not stomping on your teammates, right? So with that said, there is enough room down there to where you don't have to worry about too much. Yes, you got to kind of keep an eye on it still, but it's not a big deal. It's going to be something I think you should try if you're an exosuit person. But another thing too with it, I personally use the one with the autocannons. Now, I've had a few people tell me like, oh, you should use the other one. It's probably a better option for you, right? I've used the one with the machine gun. I've used with the I think what you got, rocket launcher. I feel that the ammo just goes so much faster with that one. It is just not even close. It's night and day for me, right? The autocannon still has anti-tank. They're both going to be anti-tank because they're dual autocannons. And it just, that's the one for me at least. So if you are a fan of the Patriot exosuit, try out the Emancipator if you haven't already, because that's my favorite one, and it still holds true to this day, which one I think is the best one, in my opinion. So yeah, but I was pleasantly surprised to see that the exosuit is a great option down there, and like I said, it's a staple for me in all the missions, even the ones that go down into the tunnels. Sterilizer, if you're going for a gas build, great option. I haven't seen it as much down there. I think people are afraid of its friendly fire potential there. So, but if you are, I think there's enough space at least to deal with to potentially use it. So go ahead and try it out. I have seen people using the guard dog breath. The guard dog breath is a great option for the bugs, and if you're kind of on the fence on it, try it. Directional shield I really haven't used a whole lot of. Haven't used in the missions, but if you're someone who wants to use a pistol or a one-handed like the crossbow even, that might be a good option for you. Just keep that in mind. Flame Sentry, I think it's going to be a good option. I think anything fire is great against the bugs, so by all means, go for it. I think that's a good option if you're going to be more so on the surface, because again, that might be a disaster if you're going to be in the tunnels. Anti-taking placement. This is going to be your best friend against that Hive Lord or on the surface missions. So if you're doing a surface mission, you definitely want to take one of these with you. This is going to be probably the best option to take with you with the Hive Lord. Now, the only thing with that is you probably want to set this up at your objective. And the only caveat I would say, and I know people are probably thinking this already, is the Hive Lord moves. So if you're able to put it in a decent spot and just go ham on it for a bit, it'll be very beneficial. But just keep in mind the Hive Lord moves around a lot. It might even take you out to where you can't be stationary with it. So just keep that in mind. But I think it's still a great option to take with you with surface missions. The portable Hell Bomb. A lot of those. So if you haven't played the Hive Lung mission, the main objective essentially is to call in a Hell Bomb, and they give you like it as a stratagem, a stratagem that pops up in the mission. You essentially got to take that Hell Bomb deep into the cave system where the Hive Lung is and detonate it. Now, the problem with that is that the whole team gets one portable Hell Bomb to call in. And if you have someone who keeps calling in, or someone that's not doing the best job to make their way down there right away, to where they're dying or losing it, or it's just not working, right? This might be a good idea to take with you, because not only is it going to be beneficial in other instances in the mission to take with you and blow up whatever's going on around you, but you won't have to wait for that cooldown time for the hell bomb that they're giving you to refresh, and then now you can go back into the Hive Lung and destroy it. I've had instances where I had a teammate in one mission where he just kept calling it in, and it just wasn't working, and can't remember if he got kicked or not. I think he left finally, but it wasted so much time. So, and if I had this, I could have called it in, took care of myself, and not have to rely on my teammates having to do it. But for the most part, I think, depending on what level missions you're doing, I usually go on 7 or higher, and I think that's a good level to where most of the people I play with are competent, and they know what the goal is at hand, what we're trying to accomplish, and isn't a problem. So if you're on lower missions, that might be a problem. The lower levels, to where people don't quite understand what they're doing or quite don't get what we're trying to accomplish. So let's keep that in mind. This could be an option that you can use to combat that. Take your own portable Hell Bomb, right? All right. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about is mobility. we discounted mobility in our in the previous video. Again, we're in the caves, can't use it a whole lot. Waste of a stratagem, right? No. If you're on the surface, this is going to be your best friend. Not the hover pack in particular, but mobility as a whole. The jump pack, the war pack, the anything that's going to be mobility based. I have even seen someone use the hover pack in the tunnels, because there's instances in the tunnel where you can get on top of like a rock or something in there. And what he was doing was he was essentially using a hover pack to get in those point of vantage essentially, and then just raining down terror, raining down fire, literally. And it was working for him. It was working great. We were staying out of his way. He was doing his thing. He cleared out the area, and then one of the things we would have to wait to essentially proceed because the fire, right? But it was a good strategy that our team was using, and it was one of the funner missions that I was a part of. So just know that if you want to have different types of play styles, that might be an option you want to try. I think he was using it was the hover pack and the torture, I think. And just keep in mind though, with that, that's where the flamethrower may be a better option if you want to try that playstyle. So I know the flamethrower has a bit of more range to it. So just keep that in mind if you want to try that playstyle out. So I think that's one of those more fun playstyles to try out, especially with the bugs. One true flag, I'm not going to talk about that. The guard dog K9 we talked about. The de-escalator. If you're on the surface, decent option. If you're in the tunnels, no, don't do it. It's just, look at how it spreads, right? Laser sentry, good option on the surface. Warp pack we talked about. Mobility is going to be a must if you're doing a surface mission, especially against that Hive World or anything really for that matter. Epoch, I know they've given a bit of a buff to it, and they have done a little bit to try to fix it. I still think it isn't a good option here. I don't think, as much as I hate to say that, because it looks like like the grandpa Scorcher, right, or the big Scorcher. So I don't think it's going to be a good option. Solo silo, I haven't tried it out yet. This might be a great option for the surface missions, but let me know if you guys have tried it yet and what you guys think about it. But I could see that being a pretty useful option in surface missions. Expendable napalm. This is a fun one to use. I just unlocked it my last mission, and it's fun. This is definitely a great one to take with you on service missions, and even potentially some of the cave missions. Now, hear me out. The cave missions, if you're calling on the edge of a cave, or even like where there's a crack in the cave, and you're kind of in those little areas where there's an opening. There's usually, in my experience, there's an opening. There's a cave opening in the top, and then there's like a big old rock you stand on. Calling it in that area, and then either using it from your vantage point, from the top of the rock, or shooting it into the cave opening where the tunnel starts. That's a great option to clear out some bugs. So if you want to try it out, if you haven't already, it's going to be, I think it's on the second page of the new War Bond. Took me a while to get to because I ultimately took I tried the spear gun out first. We'll talk about that in a bit, but it's a great option if you want. It's a lot of fun too. Keep in mind though, you only get one of them versus 2 eats, and then it also has a higher cooldown time, almost double. So trade off. Keep that in mind. Spear gun pleasantly surprised me. I had not the highest of hopes. I had decent hopes for it, I guess, to where I thought, like, just looking at that looks cool, right? That looks pretty awesome. I will say that I think one of my commenters had said it's heavy armor pen, which is nice. It does do damage against the Bile Titan, against the Chargers. So I think it's definitely a useful option for even the surface or the tunnels, right? The one thing that surprised me that with this gun that makes it even more of a good option besides that is it has the ability to close bug holes. When it shoots, there's an initial little explosion it does right there when it gives off the gas. That little explosion is going to be able to close bug holes. So not only are you able to get that heavy armor pen, you're going to get that ability to shoot a little bit of a gas cloud at your enemy, but you can use it to close bug holes. Now, is it efficient to use it for bug holes? No, because you only get 12 of these spears. So keep that in mind. But if you're in a pinch or you didn't take like a grenade pistol with you and you're out of bombs, you could use that potentially as an option to close those bug holes. Alrighty, y'all. So we went over a lot today, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What loadouts have you been using that have been working for you? What loadouts that you've tried have not worked? Let me know about those as well. But like I said, I was pleasantly surprised about the exosuit. I was surprised about the ultimatum, and yeah, I was excited to be able to use those again. So let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like the video, share, subscribe if you are new. These are videos we do all the time as far as going over loadouts, different play styles, different things that we can share and bounce off each other to try to find out what that best loadout is for us. Look out for more videos coming out soon, but thanks again for watching. Thanks for the support. Be sure to check out the merch shop. We'll have a link in the comments down below in the description down there. There's different, something for everybody there. There's different Helldivers inspired shirts, different stickers, different things you can check out if you want. Without further ado, I'm going to get out of here. Till next time, peace.